Welcome back to the Air Crown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Saturday morning over here from a very snowy, a very negative 10 degrees Celsius Helsinki, Finland. And we got plenty to talk about today as we have the new weekly closure for CME and then a lot of lower term time frame stuff as well. And if the Bitcoin analysis for today is a little bit on the lower end, perhaps we'll go over some of the more interesting altcoins because there's been actually 4 or 5 specific alt assets, if you want to call them that, crypto assets, whatever the fuck you want to call them essentially, that have actually been showing some incredible strength throughout this correction, and are not just showing relative strength, but also actually putting in major rallies, pretty much around or to new all-time highs. So with that in mind, I do want to now put the focus over here on the new rendition version 3 of the Crown Trading application, which of course can be found in the link in the description below. And if you are having difficulties with making it actually work, the best fix is to first make sure that you're not on a shitty browser, and then second, make sure that you're on non-mobile browsers as well. We'll be having mobile function probably sometime by the end of the week, maybe even today, depending upon what our developer is looking like. But it seems like it's going to be very, 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 very soon here. So no worries on that. But if you are looking to fix whatever issues you might be having, what you need to do is called a hard refresh. So when you're after you've clicked the link in the description below, all you need to do is press Control, Shift, and R at the same time. It needs to be that, not just a regular refresh, and that should solve the majority of issues, assuming that you're using, a pretty normal browser like Chrome, Firefox, and that I think that's what most people use anyways. So all good in the hood right there. And of course, all of the data on here is free for right now. And I want to once again put a big focus on the global open interest chart as we do see it start to finally come down, I would say significantly. We've seen it come down more than $1 billion, about $1.5 billion over the past couple weeks here, representing the unwinding, the unraveling of this massively over leveraged market. So I'm going to go over here into the hourly data feed. You can see that it's been steadily coming down. Yes, but we still have more to come down as well. And I would not feel comfortable calling a potential major low on Bitcoin until we really see this reset, preferably down at around 11 to 10 billion at minimum, that is. Now, I want to once again go over the signal on this and why I still think that it, has a little bit more to go down. And that is because over the past year, and actually, if we had a little more data than this, which we can unfortunately not show right now, as we only have one year available on this current chart. But every time we've seen open interest get above 13 billion minimum, with a B that is, it has resulted in 20 to 30% downside moves at minimum, actually. In fact, I think it's 20% minimum, and on the higher end, 50% actually. So the first iteration that we see over here was from March 14th, obviously, when Bitcoin came down from about $60,000 all the way to $50,000 base within about a week, or sorry, actually a couple weeks in that case. And then of course built it up back again after the small reset right there to the prior all-time high at $65,000 before getting absolutely shreked from $65 all the way down to $30,000 on this full reset right here from about 15 billion all the way down to $5.25 billion, in fact. So a pretty damn mega move right there. Then of course, in September, we did see the quick washout after we just barely got above 13 billion yet again with a B. And that was a $13,000 move to the downside within just one day. Built it up again from a base of about 8.5 billion, as you can see right here. And then we saw our prior all-time highs, of course, at our current all-time highs actually at $69,000 before coming down to about $40,000, which is where we are at right now. Here's the thing though, over the past month and a half, we did see open interest yet again go above that 13 billion marker. In fact, all the way up to about 13.5, whilst Bitcoin just put another lower high on the daily range. Of course, that was a $52,000 region, which is going to hold major priority going onwards and forwards from here. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about some hopium infused ideas soon enough, but understand that for right now, until this does come down, which this can come down many different ways, but until this does come down, I would not be feeling comfortable or confident saying that the correction is currently over. I think that we're very close, perhaps, and I do have my reasons as to why I don't think that Bitcoin will close any dailies below, let's call it about $38,000. But at the end of the day, I want to be avoiding more long-term analysis on today's video, just because I'm actually feeling kind of shitty today. I think I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, feeling like a Corona boy, just trying to make it. Just didn't put on my vest, and now I feel like shit, man. Anyways, I'm a Corona boy, just feeling like shit. Forgot my vest, now I am wrecked. And Elsa laughs, but it's not funny. I'm gonna go get tested. It's not that bad. But you know, I do feel kind of bad. So I want to save that for tomorrow's analysis. We'll do a much more long-term in-depth analysis. Today I want to be focusing on kind of medium and lower term time frame stuff. But yeah, you know, I still want to see this come down around here. Here's the thing though. There probably is a good amount of short interest going on right now. So at some point, these shorts will very likely start to close their positions, which will very likely bring this down as well, or long just get more wrecked. So I do suspect that shorts, you know, probably going to start to unwind, especially when you're at the bottom side of the $40,000 major weekly range. You know, you're going to see some prop taking just by the nature of that. And then the question is, okay, are we going to get one more washout or not? If we do, it's going to be fucking nasty. But for right now, you know, some hopium does still arise. So let's quickly go into the market data tab over here. Let me just make sure that I'm recording. Okay, beautiful. I got my fucking angelic voice on this recording. That's amazing, man. Can't wait to see the comments now. Anyways, let's go to the indicator tab right here. And again, the other thing that has me, you know, pretty concerned, of course, is the leverage ratio, the global leverage ratio that is available in this pane right here. You can see that, you know, whilst the open interest has actually come a little bit down, leverage ratios are still, you know, to the moon and beyond. They've come a slight amount down, but again, this is an hourly data feed compared to the daily, which you can see over the past year. We are not just at all-time highs, we're at like significantly new all-time highs. And anytime that the leverage ratios have been above about 0.17 as well, you know, it's not been very kind to the market. The only time that we actually saw it, you know, result in an upside move was way back on here in July of the prior year on the bear trap from 30,000 bucks to basically our all-time high at $69,000. But you'll notice that there's a big difference between that and what the open interest was showing at those levels as well. If we recall back to that chart, open interest was actually, you know, well below 10 billion at that point. Anyways, I also want to focus on the fear and greed index. This does give us a bit of a bias that, hey, you know, price action can still come down a little bit further here, but we're probably looking at a low relatively soon, sooner rather than later, in my opinion. And again, we'll bring this into the focus for tomorrow's video when I really want to hammer on the very macro scale of this asset. But for right now, you know, we're in the extreme fearful zone. Of course, it's at an 18 read. I think I even saw it like down to a 10 today as well, as this is being updated on our app, I think at around 7 UTC, or maybe it's 7 EST, whatever it is. So it, you know, this one is a little bit delayed right here, but you're almost starting to see a fractal in the market sentiment between what we have going on here in this current corrective phase versus what we saw over the summer as well. And when you start to get into regions like this for a long time, you know, I am starting to look at this as more or less a macro bottoming area, or at least a major bottoming area for the next like major rally. Because even if you're the biggest bear, here's the thing: Bitcoin does not have a lower high on the higher term timeframes just yet, only up to a 5-day and weekly, which do represent the macro. So even if you're the biggest bear, at some point, it's very similar to the summer, you're very likely going to be looking for a pretty damn big rally, probably into the mid to low $50,000 territory at minimum. And that's at the point where you're probably looking at the next lower high, to be fair. So again, that's something that we'll go into more detail tomorrow. Until then, I want to be focusing on the shorter term timeframes today. So let me pop back into the actual price action charts. Let's maybe do a little bit of that action, huh? And what do you know? Bitcoin is at the bottom end of our macro weekly support region. At the $41,000 to $40,000 region. I just have a massive red box right here. Then we could also be working off this chart as well, or no, actually, I have been working off this chart, so fair enough. This is the one to be watching right now. We've hit the measure move based off of the prior breakdown from the prior range. Okay, fair enough. Now, here's the thing. I'm sure that a lot of people are calling this a head and shoulders, and there is some merit to that. Yes, it does have the etchings of a head and shoulders, similar to what you saw back here, in fact, if you do recall. And what was the big indication that this was not going to work out as a head and shoulders? Because up until this point, you could very easily make the analysis that it was. Well, once the right shoulder started to hang on for this amount of time and lose its symmetry with the left shoulder, that's how you kind of know. And in this case, there was an invalidation measured move to be made as well. So an implied target based off of a head and shoulders failure, which, by the way, when you are looking at a you know, a major structure like this, just an easy way to kind of filter through whether it's going to work or not as far as bearish patterns within an overall macro uptrend is that pattern completing above the 377 exponential, or is it not? And for right now, I don't believe that we actually are. In fact, I should probably put it on just to double check, because I actually haven't done that, funnily enough. But maybe we just plop this one on over here. Okay, we'll go with the blue. Yeah, and there's my 377. Okay, actually it is below right now. That's concerning, I guess. Well, fair enough. We're just going to ignore that. Okay, no bearish shit. We're only talking about bullshit today. Anyways, sorry. Anyways, What I want to talk about in this case is that, hey, there is a very, 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 very important failure to be aware of when it comes to a head and shoulders formation. And in this case, what would validate this? So please understand that we're still very fucking far away from what I'm about to talk about. This is hopium for right now by the definition of it. But it would be this. Basically, Bitcoin popping back above what would be your right shoulder right here. We could apply the same measure move as you would have to the downside, to the upside in this case, which would have an implied target about 75 to 76,000, or actually more like 75 to 77,000 dollars, which would be, rather important, obviously, as that would be Bitcoin making new all-time highs, and we start to talk about Plan B targets yet again to 100,000 plus and all that good stuff. Until then, do you have something like this to be aware of? Yeah, you do actually, and that would have a measure move all the way down to 17,000 bucks. Fair enough, that is in the cards. I don't think it's very likely for the reasons that I'll postulate on tomorrow's video. And regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish here in the short and medium term timeframes, yes, I do think that Bitcoin's getting ready for a bouncy bounce especially on the short term timeframes. We see the full hour right here starting to print in many drives of bullish divergence come off the lows right there. So I am looking for a little bit of a bounce probably over the weekend. Could very easily test back up somewhere around about 43,000, just above 43,000 bucks to be fair. But ultimately, please do understand, if we go to a fresher chart like this one right here, let me just redo the whole damn thing, because why not? I would not be calling any sort of range resolution with targets back up towards, let's say, even $46,000, as long as Bitcoin's closing 4-hour deltas below 43,750, let's call it right there. Just at this level right here. As long as Bitcoin's closing below there, nothing too interesting as far as the upside goes, because where do I start to look at this as potentially a major trap going on? In this case, a bear trap, yet again, similar to the summer. Well, Bitcoin needs to, at minimum, get back above $46,000. Why is that? Because that is your prior range breakdown region on the daily time frame, and that'd be right around here. It's actually a little bit lower than there, to be fair. And you see that on a higher term time frame closure, obviously. And if we get something like that, then yes, I would be at least looking for another try, somewhere around 50,000 bucks. At that point, you're close enough to the validation for the failure of a head and shoulders target, which would then, imply much higher price action. Now that I realize that I'm not even on a 4-hour, I'm on a 6-hour right now. And yeah, we do have a little bit of bullish divergence going on right there. So that is good for the short term. Very likely to bounce up here. 4-hour already has 1, 2, 3 drives. Beautiful. And I wonder how high of a time frame this goes up to. We even have a 12-hour actually as well. Now the 12-hour has not put in or not confirmed a local low here just yet. But if you're looking for it to confirm a local low, how would you need to do, or what would essentially confirm that? Well, it's the same thing as before at 43,750. So any sort of a closure above there will start to confirm bullish divergence drives all the way up to a 12-hour, which is a rather powerful time frame, and very likely beget another test somewhere around about 45,500 to 46,000 bucks, and then hold your breath yet again. Would the daily have it as well? No, the daily would not. So the daily says go fuck yourself and stop paying attention to that. I also want to bring up momentum oscillators over here, of which the daily stochastic, or sorry, just stochastic in general. There's many things to say about this, but first and foremost, actually, my good friend, Mr. KVDB, is probably going to be releasing this indicator for public use, for public consumption, of which he's actually added a few more things here if you are familiar with it. And, well, we'll figure that out later. Anyways, I just wanted to let some people know, because I know that a lot of people have been asking about this, and, well, we kind of kept it under wraps for a long time, and now he's, I think he's just about ready. Anyway, short-term time frame momentum turning up here. As you can see, 4-hour Stokes are not just turning up from this region, of which will remain with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin is closing 4-hour deltas above basically 41,100, which you're currently clean $1,000 above, which is good. But also we're kind of testing into an area that has been a good bounce spot regardless, of kind of where you're coming from, as represented by this horizontal green line, as you can see. So I'll just mark off a few of the other times that we've actually come down this region more recently. Again, within the context of a pretty hefty downtrend. The last one was right here, actually. You can see on this bounce from about 46 all the way up to 49, $3,000 bounce within the context of a daily downtrend. Very much tradable in this case, and we can pull out another more recent one from here on the 10th of December. This one was, where was this? 10th of December was right here at about 47.5 before getting ready for a move towards 50,500 actually. So again, pretty nice move right there. All things considered, I'll just do maybe one more iteration or two more iterations right here. Easy ones, 27th of November. Where was this? This was on this low structure at about 54 before getting ready for a move up to 50, almost 59, or actually we did get up to 59, so not bad. And then the other, hey, stop that. my bad. And then the other time that we did see some like this relatively recently was back on over here, 28th of October. And that was coming out of this space for a move from 58 all the way back up to range highs short term at 63,250. So these are some pretty nice moves, to be fair. And here's the thing, you know, if we are to see something relatively comparable to that, which the last few iterations of this have been, you know, $4,000 moves minimum, to be fair, all of them, which is kind of interesting. What would $4,000 look like from our current price, from our current lows at about 41? Well, that'd put Bitcoin at around 45,000 or so. So that'd be very, very close to that next major area that I'd be looking for to kind of judge and change around. Let's call it medium-term time frame biases. Higher term time frames really not changing around until Bitcoin's back above 52, if Bitcoin gets back above 52, and that's where things start to look, you know, I would say, quote unquote, good again for what it's worth. And then I also wanted to call this out as well on the daily. So not only is the lower term time frames momentum on some pretty precarious places, but also the daily as well. So you can see it's actually coming down to the exact same horizontal level here. And most importantly with this, I have marked off the last 10 years or so of history where we've seen these sort of reads get met, actually. And you can see them represented by the green vertical bars here. Obviously, the last one that we saw was coming out of the July bear trap from 30,000 all the way to 53 and then 69, obviously. The time before that was a terrible one, actually. In fact, maybe one of the, or certainly the worst iteration that we're going to see here. But this one was coming out of, and now that I realize that this was not proper, this was about right there. Anyways, this one was right before the old mega dump from the from March 2020. But to be fair, first Bitcoin did put in a 10 or 11.5% move, and you could argue that that is a bit of a black swan. Fair enough. I'm not going to make any comments on that. And then of course we have this iteration right here, coming off the lows. This was within the pretty hefty downside move. This was actually, I remember this one. This was when China legalized Bitcoin or something like that, or who the hell knows, man, doesn't matter. But ultimately Bitcoin started to put in a nice bottom right here before moving up about 60% actually from the lows to from 6,600 to about 10,500, which was a big move at the time, obviously. Now it's like, now we don't even care about a $4,000 move almost. Anyways, the time before that was on the macro cycle lows in December 2018. And actually just before that, let me just double check this proper. Yeah, just before that, we did have a bit of a failure on this signal, and it's actually right there when it officially turns up before getting ready for a move from 35 all the way up to 44. A pretty big percentage move right there. Again, about 25.5% even on a failure. Do we have any more examples? Yeah, we have this one. This one obviously not as good, but still did produce a decent enough move to call out right here. 10% move almost. And then do we have any other ones within the next few years? Actually, no. We have to go all the way back to July 2013, and then before that, October 2011 to see these iterations, both of which were actually macro lows. So I thought that those were rather interesting. It doesn't mean that, this is guaranteed to be a macro low over here, but we do see several points of confluence that do suggest, hey, we're probably looking at minimum like a nice bounce from this region first before anything else. I mean, Bitcoin's pretty much had zero reprieve on this move down from 69,000 bucks to where we're at right now. At some point, you're going to get, you're very likely going to get a rally just from the fact that shorts are going to be taking profits, right? So for right now, that's kind of what I'm looking at right there. Did we close another 5-day last night, or is that no, that's actually Sunday, so fair enough. Nothing to really talk about right there as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention, kind of in line with, looking for a bounce here first and foremost, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, would be coming off of the bottom side trolling bands on your higher term timeframes, like the 5-day right here. Typically going to bounce off that. And for what it's worth, we already kind of filled the wick low from the 4th of December dump-ola, so likely to get a little bit of profit taking right there. And a lot of similarities between that and what we saw over the summer yet again, not just with sentiment, but also with price action and structure and retesting this region, actually a few times, as you can see, once and twice right here. And the second time you did make a slightly lower wick low, just like we're doing right here. If we start to get something similar where Bitcoin does pop up, which I'm kind of suggesting is likely to happen in the short and medium term here, something like this where it pops back, or hey, you stop that. Hold on, let me go to a fresh chart. Let me go to another fresh chart. God damn it. All right, let's try this right here. Yeah, and let me just plot this one off as well. And you can see, maybe if we get something resembling that with the short-term move up towards like 45, 46,000 bucks, come back down, fill the wick again, scare the ever-loving shit out of everyone, and then pop back up. That would be kind of like the hopium-infused view. The critical region, again, is getting back above that last rejective lower high, $52,000 above there. Yeah, I start to be quite bullish yet again. Just looking at this right here, this would be another one of these, I suspect. Another one of these bigger bases, as you can see. So ultimately, I do still think that Bitcoin probably has another bounce here, as we've been kind of stating. But what would negate this and make me immediately bearish? Immediately bearish for looking for lower lows in this case, with next targets down to about probably 38 to 30, probably somewhere around 38,000 bucks. That'd be with a daily closing lower low than the wick low of 4th of December, which is again 41,274, depending upon your exchange. But I do imagine that's probably gonna be very consistent on the, it is pretty much right around there on the index as well. So I would go as far as saying that that's probably going to be a good continuation point, meaning that if you get a daily closure below this wick low, at that point, I do look for the next march down, another, probably 10% move down, which is going to get absolutely wrecked across the market, except for the strongest forward. But we're already 20 minutes into this video, so I think that that's probably good enough for right now. Maybe you should also call out this potential signal going on the daily Jewel Light, which we have available for free right now. To give people kind of a chance to try it out, and then we're gonna take it away, and we're gonna take it away in February. It's gonna vanish. Anyways, you can see that we're coming down to this very, very critical zone, which we really haven't seen on the daily too many times in the history of Bitcoin, to be fair. The last time we saw this was May 2021. What was this? That was pretty much, it wasn't necessarily like your actual low in this case, as you can see. Actually, in fact, how far did we get down in July? Yeah, not as far down in July. In fact, coming in right here, but in May, that was after your low was put in, to be fair. Like, you actually never saw a closing lower low than that wick low in middle of May. So fair enough. And then the time before that, I just want to back this a little bit more, as I'm in the back testing mood, was coming off here. This was November 2019, coming off of this low before going up about 60%. Same thing, for so on and so forth. So I don't really want to go through that one again. But ultimately, my base message today is that Bitcoin's probably going to put in a balance here. We got RSI divergence, we got stochastic momentum turning up as well, and we're kind of hitting some really, really critical areas where you're just going to see some profit taking from the shorts, regardless. As well, it's kind of prudent to be realizing some of that after you do have a nearly $30,000 move from top to bottom. So quite powerful right there, and I think that's a good place for me to leave off on this video. Perhaps tomorrow we'll talk about some of those bullish alts, or maybe just make another video later today if compelled, or if I'm in the proper spirit. So with that in mind, I want to be wishing you well. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.